It really was the shoes. Where's Jordan? Is it the shoes?
And I took that personally.
And the short. It's the shorts and the shoes. I've seen Space Jam enough times to know this.
Is this the first? This might be the first time in film history that Space Jam and the red shoes have been talked about together. we did it, boys.
Hey, listen, influences come in many forms.
We peaked.
Welcome to Idiot Plot, a comedic podcast critiquing, discussing, and analyzing the media industry through reviews, debates, and historical deep dives.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Idiot Plot. I'm David Giannis. Joining me today, as always, are my co-hosts, Alex Overdahl.
Take off the red shoes.
And Justin Neitzel.
Oh.
So today, we're doing another of our movie picks, recommendations to focus on. And Alex, today was yours. Do you want to tell us quickly what movie you had us watch?
Yes, I picked the 1948 film The Red Shoes.
Okay, really exciting movie to watch and talk about. Lots of things to break down with it. But before we get that into another episode or segment of what we watched these past couple of weeks, something I want to bring up before we get started. Between our last episode and now, we've lost two big entertainment icons. Sadly, Michael K. Williams and Norm Macdonald have both passed away. And I mean, Michael K. Williams is one of the best character actors of his generation. And Norm Macdonald, one of my personal favorite stand-up comedians. Truly, we are going to miss out on some great stuff with the loss of these two powerhouses. I mean, Michael K. Williams, the Wire, which everyone knows him for, but The Night Of is also just a amazing performance.
Yeah, Emmy nominated for that one, and yeah, legendary for The Wire, and I mean, just a lot of very small roles, and like every time he's in something, you go, oh shit, it's it's Michael K. Williams, it's Omar, it's
He should be in it a lot more.
And he was in quite a bit. Sadly, a lot of it was garbage, but he was in quite a bit. Stuff like Assassin's Creed, Ghostbusters, 999. But he was in some good stuff. His TV resume is a lot better.
Yeah, some all-timers there.
The Night Of is one of the best. I mean, I love that miniseries. I love it to death. And his performance in that is one of the better ones in a show that's all about great performances. So he will be sadly missed. I kind of want to see now his footage from Solo, because he was in Solo, the Star Wars movie.
That's right.
He had to quit because of the reshoots when they reshot the entire.
Well, yeah, when they shot the same script again.
Yeah, he was supposed to be like I forget his name, Paul Bettany's character, or a version of him.
Yeah, something like that.
I completely forgot about that.
I kind of forgot that movie existed, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But also, we lost Norm Macdonald, one of probably, in my opinion at least, one of the funniest stand-up comedians ever. I think extremely underrated when you look at people talk about their favorite comedians. Dude was so clever, so smart.
Well, he was great just because, you never knew where the punchline was coming because his jokes would take forever. Or they'd just be real quick.
The whole time you're just laughing at it because, the deadpan delivery of just, this crazy, dry, witty jokes. You just never know what he's going to say, and it's, going to be funny no matter what. It's so it feels stupid but it's really smart, but it's just when he says it, you're like, oh, that was so stupid, but you're laughing anyway.
We had a bit not too long ago about fighting cancer. It's funny to look back on because he actually was fighting it at the time.
Yeah, he had cancer. He died of cancer after 9 years. Told nobody. That was the big thing, is he told nobody. I watched a video today, actually. It was Howie Mandel and Anthony Jeselnik doing a podcast together, and they were told that he died while they were recording it. And they're like, wait, he had cancer? Because they knew him for years. So no one knew he had cancer. But that's kind of how he was as a person, though. Just seeing his podcasts and stuff.
There's a lot of actors and comedians who do that, though, too. Who was it? Alan Rickman had something going on that no one ever knew about.
That's right. What I'll say about Norm Macdonald is if you go on YouTube and you start with the Courtney Thorne Smith interview on Conan, you will go down a wonderful rabbit hole.
Make sure you hit that and the YouTube Live.
Oh, the YouTube Comedy Live show is one of the greatest examples of not understanding who you're hiring to do something.
All the stars are here.
Harley Mortenstein, love him. But Alex, do you know what the worst part of his death is? The hypocrisy. Only a few people will get that.
Also an all-time joke.
Yeah. Or I also have to commend him. We should move on, but I have to commend him. He made OJ jokes on SNL when he anchored Weekend Update, when he knew that would get him fired. He knew that he would lose his job doing Weekend Update, but he still did it anyway.
In OJ's book, he said that he would jump in front of a moving car for her. Well, it's kind of sad that the person who would die for you is the one who ends up killing you.
I mean, the other great Weekend Update joke one is when it was a pie chart. And it was something like 48% of people think that 48% of people think or no, it was 40%. Okay, I got a joke now. It was 51% of major car crashes are caused by men, but 56% of minor car crashes are caused by women. And you know, the pie chart says if you do the math on the pie chart, the numbers don't add up to 100. And that's because the math was done by a woman. And the crowd starts to turn on him instantly. And then he looks at him and goes, "Guys, that joke was written by a woman. Calm down." And and the crowd starts cheering again. And he goes, "JK, we don't hire women here." And then moves on. And we can cut that bit if we have to, but I wanted to because that's one of my all-time favorite jokes of his. Dude truly did not give a fuck what he said. He didn't care who he offended, and so Norm Macdonald, Michael K. Williams, rest in peace.
That's what makes a great comedian, is they're not worried about offending people.
Mm-hmm. And he did do his apology tour because he was kind of canceled when his show came out on Netflix. He had to go on the apology tour where he went on The View and just downed mints for 20 minutes. That was really funny. But yeah, he truly was a great Michael K. Williams. Also really funny. Not funny, I guess that's the wrong word, but just a good actor. Those two will sadly be missed. Now let's move on to kind of what we watched, what we want to talk about. Alex, why don't you start us off? What depressing, mood-killing movie do you have for us this week? Schindler's List?
Well, see, no. I can start with what it is with a song that you might know.
Sing, are you?
You watched a musical?
There can be miracles because I watched The Prince of Egypt.
Oh.
That's right.
You watched an animated movie?
I watched an animated movie that's a musical.
Dude, you hyped up like I was gonna be super happy and
I thought you really liked that movie.
I do, but I haven't seen it in 15 years.
Yeah, it's fucking great though.
It is good. It's a good movie.
It's really good. It slaps real hard. That movie has no right to be that good. The songs have no right to slap that hard. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, they're great.
Well, aren't you a big fan of the live action Ten Commandments?
Yes. Actually, yeah. The day I rewatched that for the first time since I was a kid, I bought Ten Commandments on Blu-ray. So,
would that to wash your head to the animation?
No, I haven't rewatched that one yet, but it made me want to watch this too because it's a more condensed, concise one that really flows. The songs are incredible. The voice cast is just absolutely stacked.
Yeah, it is.
Was Prince of Egypt the first DreamWorks animated movie?
I don't know. Yeah,
it was
first
definitely
feature
one
film from DreamWorks to be traditionally animated.
Okay. Wow. Well, the first one must have been Ants.
No,
Ants and then Prince of Egypt, I think is what it was.
Oh, they both came out in the same year. Okay, yeah, it could have been.
Probably, yeah, it says Ants is the first.
I mean, score from Hans Zimmer. Cast Ray Fiennes, Val Kilmer, Sandra Bullock, Michelle Pfeiffer, Steve Martin, Jeff Goldblum, Patrick Stewart,
Martin Short.
Yeah, absolutely stacked.
DreamWorks came out swinging. I mean, they wanted to make a movie that Disney would never make.
Well, they did.
They never did. This slaps too hard.
I mean, I guess if I had hot take, or just potential hot take, because I haven't seen this movie in however freaking long. I do like Road to El Dorado more.
I've actually never seen that.
You've never seen Road to El Dorado?
Nope,
Oh,
I
we
need
have
to.
to do that for an episode. That movie's awesome.
Yeah, see, after this, it was like, oh, you should watch El Dorado. So I might get to that.
It's kind of sad to see how shitty DreamWorks got after this movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm looking through all the DreamWorks movies, and it's kind of like they're either great or shit.
Until they unleashed the peak of cinema.
B movie.
Shrek.
I would also accept Shark Tale. Why use style and art direction when we just put Will Smith's face on the fish?
And have Martin Scorsese voice Blowfish for some reason.
God, yeah, Prince of Egypt. I should rewatch Prince of Egypt. Is it on anything?
Unfortunately, no.
It's on, if I guess it's a Peacock, but because I watch it, I think my wife actually really likes it.
Yeah, I wonder. I do wonder because I know it wasn't anything I have. No, it's only for rental.
Oh, there's a musical on it? Oh no, it got COVIDed. Yeah, it premiered in Denmark.
What?
Premiered in Denmark and California, and then went to the West End, but then got COVIDed. Dude, that could actually be an awesome show.
I mean, if it's going off the songs in this movie, it'd be great.
I think it is.
Yeah, but then
Has
you would
anybody
lose like the
seen
animation and the transitions, which are crazy good.
Has anybody seen the prequel, Joseph King of Dreams?
I have.
With Chris
Wait.
Ben Affleck in it.
Whoa. Flashback. I have seen this. Yeah, like I remember there was a movie about about that. I just didn't remember that it was like in the same style as this. I know it wasn't as good.
Yeah, it's not as good, but
Somehow got Ben Affleck to be in it.
I think that was early in his career, though.
Yeah, it was right after Good Will Hunting.
I mean, DreamWorks, when DreamWorks started out, like they really wanted to take down Disney, and they almost did, and then they got like almost too self-indulgent, like every Disney competitor eventually does, it seems, and then they failed.
It's because they just kind of go back to their they go to weird roots where all of a sudden it's just like, oh, we're just going to do weird animation and fart humor and stuff.
Prince of Egypt was them actually taking Disney on at their own game and being successful.
Yeah.
With the big animated musical drama epic.
And now you get the likes of Boss Baby and Boss Baby 2. And you're like, where did we go?
That's because the good DreamWorks movies nobody fucking sees.
Yeah, like How to Train
Nobody
Your
saw
Dragon.
Peabody and Sherman, which is actually a really good movie.
Yeah, it is. Rise of the Guardians, I thought was pretty good. Megamind is good. It's like,
yeah, Megamind is the far superior movie to Despicable Me.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's one of the problems that's come with DreamWorks, though, right? Is because like around the same time, similar movies release, and then they get confused. Like I confuse. There was even another one around then that's kind of like Megamind, wasn't there? Like a superhero one, and like you get them confused, and then it's hard to like stand out. Versus like something like Prince of Egypt, it's like, well, there's really nothing like that coming out, so it's very easy to like identify. Or obviously Shrek.
Mm-hmm. Problem is they have, when a good movie comes out, no one goes to see it, but when it's shit, people go to flock to it. So.
Well, actually, I'll end this discussion on this because we can move on with one final example. Compare the first Spirit movie that came out 20 years ago with the Spirit movie that just came out this past summer.
There was a second Spirit movie.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
It came out this summer. My wife
this year
had to see it
somehow
on a work trip. It's based off of the show. It involves like young horse girls riding the horse from the first movie.
Jeez. Okay.
I don't know how we got to that point, but we did.
Well, the first one was weird enough.
Horse Lion King.
Yeah, where the horses don't talk.
Random kid movie. Anyway, Justin, how about you? What do you have for us this week?
I watched the Denzel Washington movie John Q. Basically, it's Denzel Washington's kid has a heart problem, so they go to the hospital and he needs a new heart. But
Not Sean David.
But his insurance won't cover the transplant, so he kind of takes things into his own hands and kind of goes to the doctor who performed the surgery and kind of puts him at gunpoint and takes a bunch of hostages. This is a stacked cast, too. You got Denzel Washington, James Woods, Robert Duvall, Ray Liotta's in it.
I've never heard of this movie.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Yeah.
What's it called?
John Q.
Couldn't find out with the search. I'm on his. Here we go. 2002.
It's not like blow you away good movie, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was okay. Denzel was great as always.
Yeah, that was peak Denzel. Like early 2000s Denzel.
You
Yeah,
basically
this
got a
is
standoff between Denzel and Robert Duvall. Like Robert Duvall's a lieutenant trying to get the hostages out and kind of work with Denzel.
Jose, 23% score on Rotten Tomatoes.
But it seems to be liked by like audience.
Yeah, it does.
Like I said, I maybe give it 6.5 out of 10. Maybe. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was enjoyable.
But this was a weird era for movies like that, where there are plenty of movies that critics hated but fans loved in droves. Like this
Bad
was the era
Boys
of
2.
that.
It's definitely an early 2000s thing, where critics might not have loved it, but audiences did.
I mean, stuff like Radio, stuff like that. I mean, this to me screams movie you watch on cable and get sucked into.
Pretty much. Like, would I send you to theaters to see it? No, but if you saw it on cable or came across it on a streaming service, I'd be like, give it a shot. It's a good movie.
If FX is playing it at 11 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday.
I think it's been running on Stars or something. I think that's where I saw it.
Oh, God, so no one's going to watch it.
That free weekend. Yeah.
That's true. It could be the free weekend. I mean, it looks interesting. I do like a good thriller. This poster sucks.
Yeah.
That's a very early 2000s poster.
That's where they just throw the lead's face on the poster, then throw some words everywhere. Be like,
yeah, like I look at the poster. I don't think of movie about guy taking a hospital hostage. It looks like do you remember like those PSAs for like the Better World Foundation or whatever? It looks like he's playing basketball and is like being bullied by some people.
Or like no one understands him and is like, I'm going to prove them wrong.
That's the early 2000s version of what we have now, which is the character poster of everyone in the entire cast floating on air with the bad guy in the middle, and then they form a row around them with the bad guy in the background.
With some random colors splashed in the background.
And the bad guy is kind of half transparent into the background.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
God, this was a wild time for movies. I might give it a shot though if I can actually find it. Sounds interesting, and I love random 2000s movies like this. Anyway, for my film, me and my wife visited my family at their cabin over this past weekend. And while they were there, it was revealed that my wife had never seen a certain movie that is really big in my family. I'm about to alienate my entire family right now. I know my mom listens to this, and she's going to tell everyone what I said. But she made my wife. We all sat down and we watched The Great Outdoors, which is like my family's movie. Some people, at least in this side of Wisconsin, have heard of it. It's big, but it's not really big for a lot of people. It's not a classic or anything, but it is in my family. Like my family can quote this movie. We usually watched it at least once a year, but gosh, there were points where I watched it weekly, which drove me insane for a little bit there and got me to hate the movie. It's probably the first time I've seen this movie in, gosh, at least 5 years, maybe more. Directed by Howard Deutsch, written by John Hughes, so it has a big name writer, starring Dan Aykroyd and John Candy, where John Candy's his dad, brings his family up camping in northern Wisconsin, where he's then hijacked, where the fiction isn't hijacked by Dan Aykroyd's character, who's like the rich, fun uncle who doesn't want to have the relaxing vacation, and they kind of go on like a war for control of the vacation. John Candy, Dan Aykroyd, hilarious as always. Direction's really good. The script is really good, except for one thing and this is the part that seeing this movie as an adult instead of a kid really stood out. That the movie has no plot. There is no story thread whatsoever until the last 20 minutes, where the entire movie is just really funny bits of Dan Aykroyd trying to piss off John Candy. and they are really funny, but they fall apart. There's like some thread where like the oldest son of John Candy falls for this random girl on the trip that I think is supposed to be like that young love that's in every John Hughes movie, but he's only there for like 4 days, so it doesn't make a ton of sense. It's probably it's probably the weakest part of the movie, and it's the only thing resembling a plot. And there was stuff that they could use to actually make a story out of the film, but they choose not to because the focus has to be on John Candy and Dan Aykroyd. I mean, we talk about 2000s movies and the posters and of the big name actor looking off camera. Well, this is the late 80s era of comedies where you cast a big name star and legally nobody else is allowed to be funny.
It's funny is after you mentioned this the first time on this podcast, I came across it, but I only came across the ending, so I didn't get to see it.
The ending is really great. It actually has one of the best punchlines. I won't spoil it because it is genuinely amazing and probably worth the entire movie. But really, that's the only part. The only part that really has plot is the beginning and the end. The rest is just filler.
The rest is Dan Aykroyd, John Candy, go be funny.
I will say, if you've ever gone camping in the middle of nowhere, it is hilariously accurate. Because like they go into like a cabin, they go into like a cabin with like a shotgun lamp, and there's the guy running the campground has a shirt that says "I've been to Duluth." Well, like I have met people like that.
I think I'm related to people that like that.
So like this movie plays a big part in my family, plays a big part in my childhood, but at the same time it's kind of hard to watch it as an adult without being like, oh wow, this is not what I remember. So it's kind of hard to recommend unless you grew up with that with that camping background, going on those trips like my family did, especially when they were kids. I'll end this by saying when we went on, I think I might have done this when we went on a little bit, but when you go on the Universal Studios tour in Los Angeles, you pass by the cabin they used to film The Great Outdoors, and when my family did that like 10 years ago, we kind of lost our shit a little bit, and we were the only people on that tram that probably heard of that movie because nobody else cared, and my mom's going, get the camera as we're driving past trying to get a picture of the Great Outdoors cabin.
Everyone's like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, everyone's like, what the hell is that? What the hell are these people? I mean, we look like freaks. We look like those freaky tourists.
Who is this Midwest family freaking out over a log cabin?
You know, over this movie that no one has seen.
Maybe they went home and started like, well, we should check out The Great Outdoors. That family was freaking out over it.
That random Wisconsin family lost their goddamn minds.
Then they watched it and they were like, oh.
If you like John Hughes movies, you probably like some parts of it. It's probably the only John Hughes movie I can say I genuinely like.
Boo.
Come at me, people. Hashtag Ferris.
We don't want to start that one again.
No, we don't. But yeah, funny movie. No real plot. I'll punt now. But with that, we'll move on to our main event, which is The Red Shoes. Alex, why don't you take us into why you picked The Red Shoes?
All right. Well, I picked The Red Shoes. I think, besides, like, I think it's an amazing film, but just, like, we'll get into this more, but just how influential it is. So, but at the same time, it's one that, like, we said The Red Shoes, and some people are going to be like, what the fuck is that? But, so it's a 1948 film directed by Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger, who were a British writing-directing team that made a number of very influential classics at the time. And it follows a ballet company, and specifically this dancer, Victoria, who kind of catches the eye of the person who runs the company. And she's trying to become a good dancer, and he sees potential, so he commissions a new ballet for her. But at the same time, he's pushing her to be very hard to be as good as possible, like obsessively. But she ends up in a relationship, and he doesn't like that because it distracts her. So she's kind of pulled between these two sides of the relationship and the art, and like it kind of starts to tear her apart psychologically. So I think, really why I picked it, again, like the story is very influential. There's a lot of analysis you can do with it. There's a lot of stuff that, like, the more you look at it, it, the more depth it has, and it's almost like genre-wise, it's almost like light horror in some ways, and it really kind of mixes a lot of different genres. It has a long ballet sequence that's very influential and kind of experimental, which at the time was also very groundbreaking, and visually, I mean, it's one of the best-looking films you'll see.
I mean, I guess I would have to agree. I hadn't heard of this movie until you brought it up. It's a big Criterion pick, so obviously I'm gonna be interested once I hear about it. But yeah, in the first 10 minutes, you can already see what movie's probably copied from it.
Quite a bit.
It's painfully obvious. Like, the first thing I saw was, well, Damien Chazelle watched this a few times.
Yeah, you'll be very unsurprised. Like the directors, like there's even a list like the directors who have said it's one of their favorite films ever: Scorsese, Ford Coppola, Brian De Palma, and I'm sure Damien
De Palma took a lot for this
movie. Yeah,
Holy
because
shit,
we just got Phantom of the Paradise.
Yeah, Phantom of Paradise. Yeah, that's very much inspired by the Red Shoes.
Well, that was the fun thing about watching this movie is like I see several movies I've seen in this.
Yeah, I have never heard of this movie.
I'm like I've never seen this, but I've seen this.
Yeah, and it's like when you said Damien Chazelle has seen this, I was thinking like for which movie? The answer is both.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's for both.
And yeah, just like it's one of those that like I think specifically in America outside of like the film buff circles or like Criterion ones isn't like household, but like if you look at best film lists, it'll be there. Or like especially like if you look at what are the best British films, I mean it's huge in England because I mean and it's the same thing with all of the Powell Pressburger ones. It's like they're so influential, but somewhere along the way US audiences forgot because at first they were highly successful at the Oscars, but like now they're kind of not as well known.
But that's the thing about US films, right? Is the way we preserve movies is really fleeting, where you have all like these really big movies that will be big for like 5 years and then just disappear. And then like 30 years later, someone will be like, hey, I discovered this really good movie. And people who saw it before are like, no, it always was good.
No, I've never heard of it.
What surprised me, because we've seen this happen before, but it's the way the Red Shoes actually adapts the Red Shoes, where you adapt the story without really telling the story, with the Red Shoes being a Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale.
Right, and in the film they adapt that as a ballet within the film.
Whereas, but the main plot is actually also kind of an adaptation of the Red Shoes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because it parallels the ballet that's based on the story, so it's all like connected.
Yeah, it's very smart. That has been done countless times since then, but at the time was probably mind blowing. I think
too. Like, what are we gonna say?
I was gonna say I'll agree with you that this is probably one of the best looking movies though I've seen in a very long time.
Oh yeah, visually it's just stunning. Like the
lighting
the
and colors.
Because 1948. Yeah.
Well, I read that the original film negatives were damaged, which people that don't really know a lot about film, that's really bad. That's really bad because that makes preservation and restoration very difficult. It's why we'll never see Citizen Kane as it originally looked, because the original negatives are damaged beyond repair. So every version of Citizen Kane is based off a copy of that, not the original negative. And credit to Criterion, Yanis Films, and the Film Academy for the restoration job they did. It looks amazing.
Yeah, apparently with this one, there's a little bit of a story behind it, like the restoration, because it was UCLA, like spent years on the negative fixing it. Like they spent years restoring this film.
I mean, it's worth it. It looks great. And it's getting a 4K release later this year that the Criterion fans are going nuts about on the subreddit.
Oh yeah, give me.
Which I didn't get. I didn't get that until I watched the movie. I'm like, okay, yeah, now I get it.
Especially, I mean, the standout is visually is the ballet sequence, which is like 15 minutes long. But also, you know, what's
filmed
interesting.
great.
Oh yeah. Well, what's interesting about it, like the reception at the time, it was actually like, obviously in retrospect, it's like all-time great film. But one thing that was criticized was that the ballet sequence wasn't realistic because they weren't like ready for like an experimental sequence, because it also obviously parallels like what she's thinking and like ties into her life because it's what she's seeing on stage, and the way it transitions between the different scenes. Like it was criticized for that, but now it's like obviously tons of films have taken that like experimental approach.
I mean, I love that dreamlike feel to it. I love that experimental shit. So I was hooked at that part. And I hate ballet.
Yeah, I
can't stand it. I don't get it.
Well, and the makeup design and everything for the ballet was great too. Like the one guy that looks like a
Now, the real question though is, I think for me, is where is it more influential, the visuals or the story? Because everyone I've noticed tries to put this film online because it gets brought up on the Criterion subreddit quite a bit, talks about the visuals and stuff. But for me, where I saw a lot of the other like influences is in the plot, which is a very deep plot. I purposely didn't look up any analysis of it because I just assumed that you had a bunch already in mind, Alex.
Yeah, because to me, yeah, it's honestly like, the visuals like are the thing that pops out in like the directing techniques. But like, I think personally the story is even more influential. Just like, like you said, the story of like the obsession and like the way it's structured around this. And then, yeah, like once you start the analysis stuff, honestly, like in a good way and like a thought-provoking way, kind of like creeps you out a little bit.
In what way? Give us some analysis. Blow our minds. Blow our minds.
Big one, which I noticed this the second time, and I fully believe it. The question, because like you said, it parallels the story, and in the story, remember, the shoes themselves have a mind of their own. So at the end, when she jumps off the ledge, did she jump off the ledge, or did the shoes literally take over and run her off the ledge?
Fuck you.
Well, it adds even more credence to her last words, or take off the shoes.
Yeah, because I watched it again. She's like shaking. She's like literally shaking and like turns around. And the first time watching it, I'm like, oh, she's gonna run to her husband. She's gonna reunite with him. But then she jumps, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Before I can continue, I have to say, because we're on the subject of that scene, the shot of that scene when she's running down that spiral staircase, and it's just the shot of her shoes, like steady. She goes down the staircase, is one of the single most beautiful shots I've seen in any movie ever.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? How the fuck did they do that?
Yeah, because, this was like before shit like Steadicam, like all that stuff. Like, that would be really fucking hard.
That hurt my brain. But I think it proves your point, though, because that shot focused on the shoes. Didn't focus on her, focused on the shoes. If you watch that part again, the shoes of the person. God damn it.
Yeah, it's like she doesn't know what's happening. When she goes out of the room and she can't decide, and she's so conflicted, and then she just like freezes in place, and like the shoes like her feet shuffle, and it's like she doesn't know what's happening.
Well, she's looking around like the hallway, like what's happening? I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah. It's like it's a different person.
Yeah, and then, again, it's something I didn't notice the first time because I assumed she was actually choosing to go with her husband. And then when she jumps, like my jaw was just on the floor. I'm like, did that just happen?
Well, I'm surprised he got away with that. At least in America, I thought in the States you couldn't show suicide in the movie.
Right, you couldn't. American films couldn't because they were regulated by U.S. law that said they couldn't. But since it's a British film, they could do it.
I mean,
and apparently that was allowed to screen in the U.S. It just couldn't be an American-made film showing suicide.
That's dumb.
It is dumb.
I mean, you say that about censorship, but isn't there even a scene where like they're in their bedroom or whatever, and there's two twin-sized beds or whatever?
Oh yeah, that's right. But I think that was they were like a little bit apart. Like it wasn't.
Yeah, that was probably a thematic choice.
Yeah, I noticed at this time too. I'm like, oh, they have separate beds.
Well, because like they're together, but it always seems like the ballet dude is in the middle of them the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Even he, like, you know, he goes off at night to play the piano. He plays this thing from the Red Shoes. Like, it's, you know, they both kind of can't get away from it.
It's like they want to do it, but they don't want to be involved with the other guy.
With that crazy dude.
Yeah,
crazy dictator ballet guy.
Yeah. You know, again, kind of like he just won't let her stop dancing and is always trying to pull her in like the shoes. Like, he just won't stop because he's obsessed. Or like the shoe guy, you know what I'm talking about, in the play.
I mean, it's a great character, though, because we all know people like that, right? Mm-hmm. They want that perfection. Not necessarily crazy control freaks.
Yeah.
And that's where Damien Chazelle's like, not my tempo.
But even other movies have that. Like, you had, like, Whiplash, you mentioned. Big one. But the one that came to my mind was Art of Self-Defense.
Yeah.
Which is about more them trying to all become the manliest men ever, but it's kind of that similar way.
Yeah, where it's like you have to be the best dancer and you can't have anything else. You have to be exactly this.
Well, and the one I kind of thought of, but that was released before this one that was Citizen Kane.
A little bit. I guess for me, what I really loved is the subtlety of how this group really seems like they're a family at first, and then you eventually realize, oh no, they're a cult.
Yeah, and that's again another thing that rewards on the rewatch, because you see like all the little seeds it plants. Like, you know, when that one woman who's the dancer gets married and like instantly she's dead to him. Like,
yeah, instant.
And everybody like excuses his behavior. Oh, he's just this. Oh, he's just cranky. He's just that. But like, he's always that way.
Well, and he doesn't even know his own family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because all that matters to him is the performances.
Yeah, they're all connected, but he doesn't really know who they are. And then, but at the same time, they're all terrified of him or like disappointing him. And then they'll get mad and they'll quit. But he knows they'll be back. It's this weird, like, abusive relationship.
Yeah, he's always like, just waiting for them to come back. Because
like, was it the dance choreography guy that quit?
Mm-hmm. And the lead dancer guy quit too at one point.
Yeah, and they all came back to him, and he's like, like laughing.
Even the one who got married, because remember, he has her come back when Victoria's gone, and she just joins up right again.
I mean, extremely powerful sentiment. The good movies do that, right? Where you can see the real life in the fiction of the weird dictator-like figure that everyone's afraid to follow, who is successful because he's a dictator. Like this ballet dude is probably successful because he's such a control freak. Isn't that the big thing at the beginning, that they all want to work for this guy?
Yeah.
Right. He's like the guy.
Because not even the main woman, what's her name, Victoria, the other guy, her husband, boyfriend, whatever, was his name? Julian Krasker.
Yeah.
That guy at the same time is like willing to do the crappiest job ever just to work with this guy.
Till he gets his opportunity.
Well, and I guess to Boris Lermontov, whoever they get, I'm bad with names of like the weird Russian variety, but like, he recognizes his talent, and that's the big thing, right? He recognizes his talent and gives his people shots, but he wants them loyal to him exclusively,
not to anyone else part of his so-called family.
Well, and not just anyone else, not loyal to anything else, not loyal to love, to family. They have to be loyal to him and him alone.
And what's interesting too, like, you know, he's so obsessive that he doesn't see it, but once he finds out they're in a relationship, right, Victoria and Julian, but they've been together the entire time they've been performing the Red Shoes, he only starts to criticize their performance and say they're distracted when he knows about it.
Yep.
Because the whole time they've been great and it's been a huge success, but suddenly to him it's unacceptable only because of that.
Which is really compelling for character relationships.
Well, it was also kind of nice to see. It's like, it's not that he wants her. He just wants her to be his lead dancer, basically, and nothing else.
It's not like a love triangle.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a triangle, but it's like one. You know, Julian wants love and he wants her performance.
Yeah.
And it's you know, being torn between two different things instead of two love interests, which is much more compelling and interesting.
Because we don't see it as often.
No, if that was it was like made today, it'd be like, oh, he's pining after her and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Because it's still two men fighting over a woman, but they're fighting over one woman for different reasons. Not just because they both love her, but because one loves her and the other loves her performance.
Doesn't want anything to get in the way of that.
But also weirdly, like, didn't necessarily want to see her dance to begin with.
Right. It was only when he saw how good she is at that side performance. Yeah.
He basically was like forced to see her perform.
Well, even then, he knows she's good. She just can't dance in the rhythm, and she's like, you have to. And he tells the guy who does the music, like, you have to work with her.
Yes, like, oh yeah, that's right. He has every day at lunch. He has him play the whole score, like like obsessively, and then of course thinks nothing, like as if they'll form no bond together doing that every day. He just assumes, oh, they're just going to be doing the music.
Mm-hmm. He assumes that they're doing exactly what he's thinking he's doing, what he wants them to do, because he's a narcissist.
And what's funny, like to go a little bit branch off about, the actor, because the performances are all excellent, but so the actor who plays Lementov, like, plays a completely opposite personality in their other best regarded film, Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, which I think I mentioned a long time ago on here.
Yep.
But he plays like the good-natured, lifelong friend of the lead character, who is like completely likable and like heartwarming character who goes through a lot. And in this, he's like an obsessive, destructive, menacing character. And he's an actor who like literally no one has heard of.
Anton Walbrook.
Yeah, like no one now knows who that is.
But he's great in this because there's the menace to him, but there's also like the charm.
Yeah, like you see why they get sucked in, because he's very smart.
And what's weird is that he's threatening, but you never feel like he's going to be violent, right? This is a modern movie. He'd be like putting knives in their shoes and shit and like having them killed. But instead he kills their careers, which is just as bad for them.
There's something unsettling, but not fully active, but it's just like unsettling but sucks you in, but there's just something there.
Also, we give Damon Chazelle crap for basically taking the visuals to make La La Land and the story to make Whiplash. But Black Swan probably has a lot to answer for too.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that you said... Oh, sorry.
No, yeah, I was going to say I saw that in here too, and I was like, oh. Like, I saw like 5 to 10 different movies watching this.
But Black Swan's the one where you're like, okay, so this is the modern, edgy version of the Red Shoes.
Right. You just said, like, if this was the modern version, it would do this and this. And I instantly thought, that's exactly what Black Swan is.
Yeah, I thought it came to me quickly with talking about, like, the physical violence. I'm pretty sure that's what happens in Black Swan.
Yeah, there's a lot of physical violence by the end in that one, and then she dies on stage or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Or it's implied that she does.
Yeah, and that one's obviously also about ballet and being obsessed with becoming the best ballet dancer, and it's like, hey, I've seen this one.
But instead of the love triangle, it kind of has 2 females battling for the top spot.
Yeah.
Well, because that one also does the ballet in the main story.
Yeah. Although, like, in that one, like, it doesn't really, like, it's clear that that's exactly what it's doing, because it does the obvious symbolism of, like, oh, she's got wings now, or, like, that weird shit. But it's like, it doesn't really lay out what the Black Swan is about in the level this film does, if you get what I mean. It's like, I don't remember anything about, like, the ballet within the movie.
But
that's
Alex, it's Darren Aronofsky, so it's weird. And that's when you're supposed to like it.
But I don't know if I might be wrong or not, but I think in Black Swan, they didn't really, it was more practice of ballet. I don't think they had the actual performance ballet till the end.
Well, yeah, because that requires them to have skill. So that's work.
Yeah, so, and really at the end, it's like a lot of it is backstage. Like, she kills somebody backstage, right? Or like something like that happens, and like it really just shows tiny snippets.
Hallucinates that she does, I believe, or I don't know. It's been a while. And all I remember is like, this is weird.
And tries so many jump scares and like all these different things, but like, that like kind of scare you, and then it's over and you're like, oh, this movie, like, especially like reading the thing about like, did the shoes themselves do it? Like, this movie creeps me out more.
Yeah.
Like, that like tiny, like not even just like
The minuscule
really light
detail.
horror. Yeah, it like gives you chills. Or like at the end when it does that, like the when he's putting the shoes back, always gives me like chills. It creeps me out.
Well, the very end of the movie where they do the red shoes, but since she's dead, they just have the empty spot.
Oh,
Is so unsettling.
yeah, and then how it cuts, like he takes the shoes off of her, and then it cuts to the guy who has the shoes in the play, and he puts them back, and it just focuses on them, and it's like, ugh, those shoes creep me out. This movie made me scared of a pair of shoes.
Yeah, it's so unnerving. It's so like this isn't a horror movie by any stretch of the imagination, but
It
it still
kind
makes
of, kind of messes with you psychologically.
it does what Black Swan wishes it could have done, because Black Swan had to rely on disturbing visuals to make to go, hey guy, you should be disturbed now.
Hey guys, we're edgy.
Hey,
Yeah, some jump scares, blood, stuff like that.
Poke me in the head and go, hey, isn't this unsettling? She kind of looks like a bird.
Get it? Because it's the Black Swan, and she looks like the Black Swan. It's deep when you think about it.
Except Black Swan was actually a massive hit that people still talk about today.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, watch this movie, and then see what you think.
Yeah, when it just jokered red shoes.
It did, damn.
It's sad.
I
We
love
have to
that
use
that's
as
a term now.
yeah. We have to use that as like an
we get to
adjective.
use is when films joker other films.
Well, it's like Cruella. It's like, oh, that's been jokerfied. It's like,
Well, that's what Quentin Tarantino said. Because he talked about Joker, and he's like, is this where we are now? Where movies can just do other movies, but put a property behind it?
basically, well, that's what anything nowadays.
Yeah, and then because people don't know what the original one is, it's like, oh, wow, this is like super new and interesting. It's like, is it though?
Well, we'll see that. We'll talk about this again next week with my pick, which I'll just say now because it's kind of uncorrelated. But next week we're talking about the Japanese classic Battle Royale, which we'll talk about the movie that ripped off this movie very shamelessly. But it's a very common theme now.
Yeah, that's where the whole term came from. Like, you know, a whole game genre is named after that movie.
Yeah, but Hunger Games.
Oh.
I'll just say as a tease, anyone that thinks Battle Royale and Hunger Games are not the same movie hasn't seen Battle Royale.
Yeah, jeez.
They haven't seen it, but we'll talk about that next week's episode. But I guess it's related to this whole thing we're talking about now with the red shoes.
Let's make
And even with the birdcage, right? With PTA,
Yeah, ripping off that entire opening sequence.
ripping off the entire sequence.
And everybody goes, oh my, isn't PTA such a genius? Oh my god. Like,
To be fair, though,
For
at
that
least he didn't like jokerify it or whatever. Make
That's
it gritty.
That's
right, yeah, and it was just that, like, portion.
Wait,
but
it's
everyone gives
almost
him credit.
worse that he kept it just the same.
Yeah.
Well, because PTA, Darren Aronofsky are people that are beloved, even though you can kind of question some of their choices. I mean, PTA is way better than Darren Aronofsky. I think Aronofsky's kind of a hack, but
Oh, yeah. Like, PTA has had some kind of pretentious stinkers, but he's also had, like, some all-time bangers. Like,
he also had Boogie Nights and There Will Be Blood.
yeah. Anybody who makes There Will Be Blood, like, is automatically on my good list.
But Aronofsky, what has he done?
Mother.
Which no one liked.
I didn't see
Yeah,
it,
he
so
did Pie, Requiem for a
What?
Dream, The Fountain,
Wait, no, that was
The
really
Wrestler, Black
No, he didn't do
Swan, Noah, and Mother.
The Fighter's good.
He didn't make The Fire. It said The Wrestler.
No, he also made The Fighter.
no,
he
that
didn't.
was
The Wrestler.
yeah.
Oh, well, why is that showing up on Google? That's weird. You're right, he could never.
I mean, I didn't mind Noah. That was a weird interpretation, but
Do a Bible story, but remove God. I'm curious what his Wolverine movie would have been.
Weird as shit.
Yeah.
But I guess the point where I'm going with this is everyone knows Aronofsky. There are people on the internet that will stand for Aronofsky every day. Yet no one's heard of the two Red Shoes guys.
Yep.
Those two guys inspired an entire generation of filmmakers, and no one knows who they are.
There's a few I haven't seen. Like, I haven't seen Black Narcissus. That's supposed to be like another all-time one. A Matter of Life and Death, same thing. Like, in the 40s, they just released multiple like all-time films that were super influential. and like people don't really know like who they are anymore outside of like the UK and like big time film circles.
I mean, we went to film school, and these guys weren't referenced once.
Nope.
Which is shocking to me.
Have we reached that point in time where they just discuss the big names and leave everyone else kind of, oh, you can find them, but...
Well, I think it's important if you are a filmmaker or want to be a filmmaker to trace back and kind of, to me, at least to me, to find the source of how things were actually made, right?
Right.
If you like this movie, well then kind of find where it came from in a sense. In most cases, it takes you back to Citizen Kane.
Yeah, all roads lead back to Citizen Kane and like modern film structure for sure.
But
even shot compositions and everything too.
But obviously, some stuff will lead you back to this because I mean, we could name how many movies that took from the Red Shoes.
Yeah,
like I said, I saw 5 to 10.
At least 6, and that's probably not even close to how many there actually are.
Yeah,
I mean, Phantom of the Paradise movie I love. We've talked about it on the podcast. Yeah, I'll totally admit the problem is known for just taking shit from people.
Yeah,
and just putting it in with almost no changes.
Well, with that one, it looks like he just basically took parts of this, parts of Phantom of the Opera, and just like
parts of Psycho.
It's like I want to rock.
Put it in a blender and was like, "This is what I'm going to get."
Yeah, De Palma, Scorsese, Ford Coppola, Steven Spielberg, which. I think the point with this movie, though, is you have to look, I think, for some of the more subtle stuff, too. Like how they use color. That's not going to necessarily be clear. We watch a movie and go, oh, that color usage is totally from the Red Shoes. Mm-hmm. But I think that you could totally see, especially in De Palma's work, how the use of color was affected by this movie. I mean, the colors are bright. They're vibrant.
Especially the reds and the blues.
Yep, they pop out beautifully.
Or like and like in shot composition, like the really quick close-ups. That's what reminded me, like how it'll just like snap to her face, like that really uncomfortable close-up.
which De Palma does a lot, especially in Phantom of Paradise.
You can see into the pores on her face, and you're like, I'm uncomfortable now.
Yeah, when she sees Lemontov on stage.
That's a shot that has the Blu-ray cover, right?
Yeah,
it's just haunting to look at. I mean, it's a fantastic movie. I don't know if I love it as much as you do, Alex, but
probably not.
I have to watch it again.
Yeah, especially watch that. If you don't watch the whole thing, just like go on your computer or something. Watch the part where she starts to run at the end, thinking about it being the shoes.
Mm-hmm. When we started discussing that, I looked it up on YouTube and I was like, yeah, I definitely see what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's when I read that and then like I was like, am I going to rewatch it before the podcast? And I watched that part again. I'm like, yep. Yep. I need to see it all again because there's a lot.
I mean, I never would have thought that until you brought it up, but now it's like, damn. Now do I have to rewatch it?
When I saw that, I was like, no. And then I was like, oh. No.
Well, I didn't think about that at first, but I was always questioning, like, why did she jump off the ledge? You know, that was the one thing I was like, was scratching in the back of my mind. I was like, why'd she do that? Of all things.
Shoes.
Then you said that, and I'm like, that actually makes a lot of sense.
It really was the shoes. Where's Jordan? Is it the shoes?
And I took that personally.
And the shorts. It's the shorts and the shoes. I've seen Space Jam enough times to know this.
This might be the first time in film history that Space Jam and the Red Shoes have been talked about together. we did it, boys.
Hey, listen, influences come in many forms.
We peaked.
The beginning of cinema and when it peaked.
Hey, we once had that one editing class where you showed a clip from The Godfather to showcase editing, and then the next guy brought up Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. Anything can happen in film discussion.
And like 3 times more people had seen Scooby-Doo 2 than The Godfather. And I was like, all right, I'm going to sit back down now. You had not seen it either. I didn't know you at this time, but it was like, wow, I'm just going to sit back down now.
You made a fool of yourself and you did nothing wrong. That's my favorite part of the story.
I felt like an idiot for showing The Godfather.
It's not a sentence I thought I'd be saying.
Which I still stand by. That might be the best edited sequence ever. But
that class was a joke.
It really was. We did nothing.
Well, especially when you think of this is kind of a tangent, but I'm going to relate it back to this. The fact that we went to film school, but these movies, right? Like stuff like Red Shoes, Colonel Blimp, a lot of the Criterion Yanis film stuff. The fact that we didn't hear of it is kind of a disservice to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the one I think about too, speaking of Janis films, I think I've mentioned this one a few times, but The Third Man and like books about like Dutch angle and where that started are just wrong. Like, they talk about Hitchcock in the 50s. I'm like, yo, like half of The Third Man is Dutch tilted. Like half of that movie is off angle.
Or the big one, right? The big one that should be taught in every film class, but it's not. Battle of Algiers.
Yeah, especially for like documentary style, in the trenches kind of techniques.
An absolute masterpiece that no one's heard of. Which pro tip, you can either A, get the Criterion channel, which has all these movies and a bunch of other good ones, especially their animation slate now is superb. It's one of the best on streaming. Or you can get HBO Max, which has a lot of the Criterion movies on it. No one knows this.
Including
HBO Max doesn't advertise that they have a deal with Criterion.
Well, we'd rather shove Space Jam Lost Legacy in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or our most recent DC animated movie or DC movie.
I haven't seen an ad for Little Ellen every time I turn on HBO Max. But I don't know that they have all these Criterion films. Red Shoes is on HBO Max. Battle of Algiers, fantastic.
Blimp is there.
Really good films.
Yeah. You got to go, if you go to Hubs and then TCM, Turner Classic, that's where all these are hidden. And it's just like rows of them.
Mm-hmm. Rows of really obscure, all the Charlie Chaplin ones that Criterion owns are in there. HBO Max has getting a lot of shit, but it might be the best service. If you're a movie buff, it might be the best.
Yeah, it would easily be the best if their player wasn't dog shit.
The player's awful.
Is there really no way to go back 10 seconds to see what that line was that I'm not sure I fully caught? Nope, I gotta fucking rewind like 30 seconds and hope I hit the right spot.
Your goddamn VHS tape.
Or you go backwards and all of a sudden your movie crashes and takes you out of it.
I've had so Dustin, do you use a PlayStation app for your HBO Max?
No, I used my Smart TV app, which I did have that problem you were talking about with on my TV after you said something to me.
Of it crashing consistently?
Yes.
Over and over again?
Yeah.
I have a problem now where if I'm watching a TV show, every time it ends an episode, it always crashes.
Oh, jeez. I haven't had that issue yet.
I mean, that's something that just shouldn't happen, right?
Right.
Especially because they already had a service before this.
Yeah, that worked fine.
I don't understand why they went from HBO Go or now wherever the hell it was called to Max and just turns the dog shit. The interface becomes freaking unusable.
Yeah, you used to, you would press the back button on the remote and it would take you back like 10 seconds on HBO Go. And now HBO Max doesn't have that.
Because gotta go fast, zoom, and all of a sudden you're beginning the fucking movie again.
Maybe.
Oh, look, I backed up 5 minutes. That's not what I wanted to do.
It's funny. That happened when I was rewatching this. There's one part that I wanted to see if I caught something interesting, and I had to go back like 30 seconds.
I get frustrated just because. Oh shit, I forgot it. Give me a second. Shit, that's my train of thought. I had an issue with Max. I completely. Oh, I know what it is. My big issue with Max is I'll go to their leaving soon section to see movies that are leaving this month, and I don't even know those movies were on there to fucking begin with. I go, oh, when did they get that film?
Yep.
Like, I want to watch that, and I have to quickly rush to get them all in before they leave in a week.
I mean, HBO Max isn't the only one that does this. I mean, Netflix did that for a while too, where it's just like, oh, this is. They send out a list like this is leaving. It's like I didn't even know that was there.
It's the algorithms on the streaming services are just garbage.
It's like sometimes I wish.
How much is Criterion Channel?
Sometimes I wish these services would kind of like look at what you watch more of. It'd be like, hey, let's. But I always promote other stuff.
They're really just trying.
But even the stuff they're like, oh, based on you watch this, it's like that has nothing to do with what I just watched.
Yeah.
They're like,
yeah, it just tries to push their newer stuff
or stuff that other people like.
It doesn't say a price for Criterion Channel.
Yeah,
there's stuff on the channel that's not on Max.
It's $10.99 a month.
Honestly, that's not bad. If you're into artsy indie films.
Maybe. But I feel like there's not enough. I say that when there's some that I'm yelling at you to watch that are only on there. But I feel like there's not enough that's only on there. You know what I mean? When you can get Max that has a bunch of these, it should be cheaper if they're going to do that.
There's some really good ones on here, especially in their animation selection, such as It's Such a Beautiful Day, Tower, Persepolis, some damn good animated films that are very hard to come by on the Criterion channel. Fuck, we should just fucking all go in on this.
Maybe.
We're fucking stupid.
I see this one. I mean, this is interesting. They have, I was talking about Life and Death of Colonel Blimp because of Powell and Pressburger. They have a 1988 audio commentary track with Michael Powell and Martin Scorsese.
Is this on the channel?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think Pressburger had passed away by then, but it's with Powell and Scorsese.
I know they had the host on here at some point, which
shows the Amazon copy.
Yeah, which is actually Criterion released by now. Criterion, please don't release One Night in Miami. No one cares.
No. I couldn't believe. I'm like, I forgot that movie existed. Yeah, do the host.
Do the host. Do It's Such a Beautiful Day. Do Inland Empire, so people will stop talking about that on the subreddit.
And do Hard Boiled.
Again, we released RoboCop.
Armageddon. No.
If you look at on Criterion's their laser discs, some of the films they had a laser disc. Oh my god, if those had Blu-ray copies, like Boogie Nights, Blade Runner.
Oh,
I'm Citizen Kane, but that's getting.
Yeah, see that one we used to talk about if that happened, and now it's happening. So maybe they'll pull out some of those other ones. Now that they have the excuse with 4K.
Well, they'll only do that if the current rights holders don't see a need for a release on their end. I mean, that's why Citizen Kane isn't getting a DVD release. People freaked out about it because I thought Criterion was no longer doing DVDs. No, it's just because they couldn't legally do a DVD of Citizen Kane specifically.
Right, because they did that big Blu-ray DVD pack, but I guess they got the rights for 4K.
Mm-hmm. Which includes Blu-ray somehow. There must have been some different thing there, because I do believe Citizen Kane is getting a standalone Blu-ray release. But I don't see Warner giving them Blade Runner.
No, yeah, they do too many releases themselves. I think of Blade Runner.
I own Blade Runner
4K.
I would buy that in a freaking heartbeat.
Blade Runner 4K is gonna sell like hotcakes. You know. Everybody's gonna buy that.
A Blade Runner Criterion.
Oh, so yes, I don't want to hold out hope, but that would be sick.
Here are some Criterion laser discs that, with the first one, number 001 is Citizen Kane, which is getting released, but 002 is King Kong. We have Third Man, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Seventh Seal. Some of these are getting Blu-rays or have gotten Blu-rays.
Sure. I would freak out if they
did The Graduate.
Yeah, that's got one.
But It's a Wonderful Life, Blade Runner, 12 Angry Men eventually got one. The Producers, Life and Death of Colonel Blimp. Let's see here. A lot of these have stuff. Singing in the Rain got one. Zulu, Wizard of Oz, 2001.
Wow, yeah. And I think some of those classic ones WB took back and did, their big box set type ones for
Lawrence of Arabia, Ghostbusters. Oh. Ghostbusters has a Criterion.
That's weird. That's wild.
Annie Hall, Great Escape got one again. Taxi Driver, Sex, Lies, and Videotape, Raging Bull, Dr. No, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Goldfinger.
What?
The Last Picture Show.
Oh, that needs a Blu-ray.
The Adventures of Barry Munchausen, which needs a Criterion Blu-ray. That needs one. I need to complete my Terry Gilliam trilogy in Criterion. Tootsie, Boys in the Hood, Spartacus.
Yeah, the Spartacus one would be nice too.
There's so many. There's Bram Stoker's Dracula. There were so many movies here that eventually, some of them got Criterion DVDs and Blu-rays. A lot of these didn't, and I would kill for some of these. I'd pay a lot of money.
Yeah, I know. I believe it's Hard Boiled a Laserdisc or a DVD. I keep bringing that one up, but that's because there is a Blu-ray out there of it, but whatever company did that, the print they have is damaged. So there's boiler room fire damage on it during an entire scene, and the Criterion one is in perfect condition, and they can't release it. Some people will still watch the DVD because it's the sound is really good and it's undamaged, and that one needs a Bluray.
I also see Halloween, Pulp Fiction, Akira. Fuck! Criterion, Akira. I own a lot of these movies, and I would buy them again if Criterion released. I've done that.
Oh yeah, I'll fucking do it again. I'll buy the third man. I'll buy the third man a third time if they put it on 4K. I'll fucking do it again.
My wife will kill me for saying that because Criterions are not cheap, but I will. God damn it, buy these movies again.
Want to see me do it again?
Well, because the big thing about Criterion, right, isn't necessarily the quality of the movie too. It's they have some of the best. They call them supplements, but bonus features of any movie distribution company ever. They have the cool books that have essays in them.
I love those. You know me.
Yeah.
What's this thing you call bonus features? They don't do that.
That's true. They don't do those anymore. They're supplements.
Supplements.
That's the most disappointing thing about nowadays. It's like they don't have any special features or deleted scenes as much. And it's just like,
where's my whooshy DVD menu?
Yeah, where's the cool ass DVD menu where like the characters from the movies are talking to you?
Criterion actually does have some nice menus too. Like
they do have some great ass menus. They're slick. They arguably have too many menus.
Yeah, I did get confused. Like I was scrolling around the Thin Red Line one, and I'm like, "Where's the scene select? How do I select where I need to go?"
Or if you want to like watch a particular bonus feature, you have to click on the supplements menu and then click on a different menu, which brings up like a text the description of the bonus feature that is trying to play. And like, yeah, no, I get it. I just want to watch it. However, if you're interested in an academic, like if all you want is like deleted scenes, blooper reel, funny behind the scenes, look, Criterion might not have what you want. But if you're more for a more academic analysis of film, I mean, there will for sure always be at least one bonus feature on the making of said movie, for sure. But the rest are like video essays, like analyzing, or other short films from a particular director, or in the case of like some of the best ones, like Brazil has the infamous studio cut, which is just as bad as you would made to believe, or like 12 Angry Men includes the original telefilm 12 Angry Men that became the movie, and also another random telefilm by the same writer. Really bizarre, but it's good. What does the Red Shoes one have?
A lot. I'm looking at this right now. There's a lot.
Wait, do you not own it?
I don't yet because I was holding out for a sale, and now I'm holding out for sale and the 4K probably because I might as well. I'm
so mad because they always do that sale around Thanksgiving, and they moved Uncut Gems to like right at the end of that.
Well, you can. I think you can pre-order at the sale price.
Okay, because I was like, you a-holes, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing.
Yeah. Okay. So here I can read them off. So there's obviously the restoration, introductory restoration demonstration with Scorsese, audio commentary from '94 by film historian, featuring interviews with some of the actors, the cinematographer, the composer, and Scorsese. Scorsese loves this movie apparently. A documentary about the making of the film from 2000, interview with Michael Powell's widow from Cannes Film Festival, audio recordings in '94.
Wait, isn't his widow Thelma Shoemaker?
Yeah, Thelma Shoemaker Powell.
Yeah, like she's one of the greatest editors of all time, who also works with, guess who? Scorsese.
Yeah, I should have read that. Yeah, Thelma Shoemaker Powell. Yep. Publicity stills and behind the scenes photos, gallery of memorabilia from Scorsese's collection. Wow, he really likes this movie. The Red Shoe Sketches, a 1948 animated film of the painted storyboards.
What? That's interesting.
A trailer, and then in the booklet essay by critic and a description of the restoration by the UCLA film archivist.
That's pretty good.
A lot. But yeah, at least they have like a good amount of Powell in there, just because Pressburger died a lot earlier. Actually, Powell made some films by himself later. Like one, what was that? What, I can't think of it. He made a Peeping Tom. Yeah, a famous film, like early influential horror by himself.
So at least now people know how big of Criterion nerds we are. so they can make fun of us. So I don't think Justin is, which kind of so fucking lucky.
Yeah, the comments if we get any. Shut up, nerd.
Hey, I would
Look at the
buy.
film, nerd.
I would buy a Criterion version of Brazil.
Dude, do it.
Yeah,
It's
that's
amazing
one I
movie.
still need to get.
See, I didn't think I had many left, and then I made a list, and now I'm scared.
Yeah, I know last year I was like, wow, I have almost all the ones I want. And then over this year, it's just been, oh no, I keep adding more.
I went kind of wild on the last sale, and I'm gonna go wild on the next sale in November because I'm getting my wife her Christmas and birthday gift.
I don't wanna say
I can
it
say it
here.
'cause she's listened to us. So I can say it, and she kind of already knows. But I'm getting her that giant Godzilla set they have.
Oh, yeah.
It's like all of the movies. It's like all of them, or at least damn near a lot of them. And she's obsessed with Godzilla, so she'll be very happy. And then I can buy whatever Legos I want with absolutely
No
no
repercussions.
pushback. But I guess final thoughts on the red shoes. I mean, good suggestion, Alex. I'll admit when you first suggested it, I kind of rolled my eyes.
I'll admit, so did I.
Because it was,
knew it.
here we go again. Alex going with the pretentious old movie pick that no one's heard of.
Hell, my picks have been good.
Well, the only thing that made me
I know,
kind
but
of.
But it's one I knew I had to make you watch or you would never watch it.
The one thing that got me kind of questioning it was about ballet, and I was like, what the hell are we going to watch?
I know. What the hell was wrong with you?
I was like, okay, it's Alex, it's old, it's probably going to be good, and then it's like, ballet? What the hell? He complains about watching musicals, and he's got us watching a ballet. It's like, what the hell?
I will say, at least it wasn't like 3 hours long. I have to give credit for that.
Yeah, didn't take me all day.
For you not picking a movie that literally took an entire afternoon to watch.
Although it was fun watching it, and also it's like oh yeah, 10 minutes of credits, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, this thing keeps going. Isn't there credits? Like, oh no, I watched all of them at the beginning.
It's an old movie. That's how they get you. But I will say, I did really like the movie. I didn't think I would, but I did really like it. I'm sure, and the more we talk about it, the more I think about it again, the more I like it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
one that kind of sits with you, I think.
I think it was it's kind of starts off kind of slow, but once she becomes his lead, and she's learning everything. It really picks up the pace and gets going.
Once the setup's done, the film takes off, and then that ballet scene takes it to a whole other level.
Yeah, that's really, like, me personally, like, I was enjoying it. Like, I'm like, oh, this is good. Like, I'm into these characters and stuff. But really, like, that's the part where I'm like, okay, this is something else. And then it just kind of carries that momentum.
It just all the
Totally,
great
yeah.
transitions in the ballet parts were just so seamless and beautiful.
Yeah. And
I
it
mean,
is one.
stupid
again,
me was like, hey, you couldn't do that on stage.
Well,
That's not how it works.
he kind of films it like it's on a stage at times.
But then, he starts out like that, right? But then, as the movie gets, or as the scene gets going, it kind of like becomes like a dream sequence a little bit.
Yeah.
It's less stage blocking and more like obscure. Abstract, not obscure. More abstract, surreal shot compositions.
And it is one, again, if you get the chance, or at least to just peek at portions of it, like, very rewarding rewatch, because, yeah, all of the stuff they set up, all of, like, kind of the second layer to it of, like, you know, once you start thinking more, like, surreally, or, like, you know, that slight horror element, it kind of takes on a different context at times.
I mean, if you picked up HBO Max because you really want to see Space Jam: A New Legacy and forgot to cancel it, you can watch this movie on HBO Max, and you should, or you should just get HBO Max in general because it's the best streaming service out there if you're a movie fan.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah, not a sponsor. Yeah, we're doing this
But if you
for
want-
free. Also, after this podcast, guys, do you want to play some Raid Shadow Legends?
Yeah, I can test out my new
even in different
VPN.
countries, you can watch the Red Shoes through NordVPN.
What's the food one? What am I thinking of?
HelloFresh or
Oh yeah, and you know, after this, I think, you know, I'm getting kind of hungry. I think I might get some Hello Fresh.
yeah, and then I need to get ready for bed. I better shave with a Dollar Shave Club.
Oh, don't forget Manscaped
Oh, and Manscaped, yeah.
for your hair everywhere.
You know, we're really fucking stupid because now if we ever actually like get anywhere with this, these people won't sponsor us.
Oh, don't worry. Raid Shadow Legends will sponsor anyone.
That is always the fight that you come across a random YouTube video like, and the sponsor of this is Raid Shadow. It's like, you clearly do not play that.
Damn, they got a budget.
And don't forget that the best way to listen to this podcast is through Raycon wireless earbuds.
No, we'd have to get an audience first before.
It's true.
Wah, wah.
And then we'll be doing this for real.
And you won't believe us.
But yeah, I forgot what we're talking about. Good movie, really great pick. I don't know if we'll buy the Criterion, but because there's so many.
Do it.
Well, I might wait till I get a 4K TV.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, this would definitely be worth it.
Yeah, and then get the 4K. Because yes, Criterion's making 4K. Now, please, people, shut up on the freaking subreddit, or just release in Empires, and everyone will be shut up.
That's an idea. We'll post this podcast into the subreddit.
Don't, God, no.
Part.
Yeah, I love that subreddit. It's pretty wholesome. It's not toxic, but I don't need those people looking into us. But yeah, those are our thoughts on the Red Shoes. How do they pronounce it? It's something like
Red Shoes.
Yeah, it's very, very particular. That's the thoughts on the Red Shoes. Good pick, Alex. Like I said multiple times, is on HBO Max. Is well worth a watch. Also, is it on Criterion Channel 2? It probably is.
Probably.
But you can watch it there. You absolutely should, because I guarantee you that you've seen at least 5 movies that have all ripped this movie off. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. If you've seen The Red Shoes, if you're one of the 8 people that have seen this movie, also let us know
if you're out there.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on anything we would talk about. Please add your comment on our YouTube channel, or let us know on our Facebook page. But yeah, for Alex Overall and Justin Neitzel, I'm David Yanish. Thank you so much for listening to Idiot Plot. We'll be back next time with Battle Royale.
Thanks for listening to Idiot Plot. You can find us on Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get a notification every time we drop a new episode. Also, follow us on Facebook and Letterbox. The links are in the description.